Have you ever felt like life took everything away from you in a single moment? What do you do when the storm hits and you are left with nothing? Welcome back to Hopecraft English, where we master the English language through the power of motivational stories. If you want to improve your listening skills, expand your vocabulary, and find daily inspiration, hit that subscribe button right now. Today's story, He Lost Everything, but Never Gave Up, will surely touch your heart. Let's begin. In a crowded, bustling port city, where tropical storms often brought heavy rains, lived a hard-working dock worker named Thomas. Since his wife passed away, Thomas had only one purpose in life: to raise his son, Oliver. Thomas worked long, exhausting hours lifting heavy cargo at the port, earning just enough to survive. Every evening, young Oliver, who was 15 at the time, would carry a woven basket full of baked buns, walking through the narrow, crowded streets to sell them and help his father. Thomas always told his son, "Education is your only ticket out of this hard life, Oliver. Keep studying." But one dark day, a massive monsoon hit the city. While trying to save a valuable crate of cargo from the violent winds so his salary wouldn't be cut, a heavy container collapsed on Thomas. He survived, but the tragic accident left him paralyzed from the waist down. When Thomas was brought home in a wheelchair, his world shattered. Without his job, they had no income. Thomas wept bitterly, feeling like a burden. But 16-year-old Oliver looked into his father's eyes, held his rough hands, and said, "Dad, you carried me for 16 years. Now, let me be your legs. I will not let your dream die." Oliver took on the weight of the world. He studied late into the night and sold his baked buns from dawn to dusk. However, the deadline to pay the fee for a crucial medical school scholarship exam was approaching, and Oliver didn't have enough money. On the final day to pay the fee, another terrible storm struck the city. The streets were flooded, and everyone stayed indoors. Oliver walked for hours in the freezing, torrential rain, holding his basket tightly to keep the buns dry. By evening, he hadn't sold a single item. Soaked, freezing, and heartbroken, he stood shivering under the small awning of a local bakery called Clara's Oven. The owner, a kind woman named Clara, noticed the shivering boy. She stepped outside and gently invited him in. Seeing his desperation and learning about his medical exam, Clara didn't just hand him charity. She knew a proud, hard-working boy needed his dignity. She smiled and said, "You know, my supplier couldn't deliver today because of the storm, and I am completely out of ingredients. Can I buy your entire basket of buns to sell to my customers?" She handed him an envelope of cash 10 times the actual value of the food. It was exactly enough for his exam fee. Oliver burst into tears, bowed deeply, and promised he would never forget her kindness. Years passed. Through relentless hard work, Oliver passed the exam, earned his scholarship, and eventually became one of the top heart surgeons in the city. One evening, an elderly patient was transferred to Dr. Oliver's hospital from a poor neighborhood. She needed an urgent, complex heart surgery, but she had no insurance and no family. When Dr. Oliver picked up her medical chart, his heart skipped a beat. The patient's name was Clara, and her previous occupation was listed as owner of Clara's Oven. Dr. Oliver immediately took charge of her case. He performed the long, difficult surgery himself and stayed by her side in the ICU until she recovered. A week later, Clara was ready to be discharged. However, she was terrified. She knew the medical bill would be massive, and she had nothing left. With trembling hands, she opened the envelope the nurse handed her, but there was no bill inside. Instead, there was a handwritten note with a total of $0. The note read, "The cost of this surgery was paid in full many years ago by the value of a basket of baked buns bought in the pouring rain. Thank you for protecting a boy's dignity and keeping his dream alive." At that moment, Dr. Oliver walked into the room, wearing a warm smile. Clara looked up, tears streaming down her face, finally recognizing the brave boy from the storm. Ultimately, this story leaves us with a profound lesson about the true nature of kindness. Clara didn't just give Oliver money, she protected his self-respect. In real life, the greatest way to help someone is to support them without making them feel small. Kindness is like a boomerang. What you put out into the world will eventually come back to you when you need it the most. Furthermore, no matter how fierce the storms in your life are, never give up. Hard work and a grateful heart can turn the most tragic situations into miracles. If this story brought value to your day and inspired you, please leave a like, share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to Hopecraft English for more powerful stories to boost your English and your spirit. Keep hoping, keep learning, and see you in the next video.